Hello students, welcome to week 11 and this is the week we're going to be learning about XML. So in this video I'm just going to introduce XML to you, and there are four more videos that will cover these other important concepts and topics. So before we begin, for the next 2 weeks you're going to be learning tools that we use for organizing information. This week it's XML, and this is a flow of XML technology and tools, a diagram of the way the data flows. And then also next weekend we will be working on learning about databases using the SQL language. So this is just a quick introduction. We're just going to do a very basic overview and have you work with very simple XML files. You'll learn more about XML in these other classes that we offer: metadata class, the database management class, information visualization, and also the data interoperability. So what is XML? It stands for Extensible Markup Language, and it's language that annotates and specifies the definition or the presentation of text. Extensible means that it allows users to define their own tags. If you remember, in HTML, the tags are already defined for you, but XML allows you to create your own tags. This is an example of an XML file, and it should look pretty familiar to you. We've got a bunch of tags, opening tags, closing tags. Side by side, this is what it looks like. So remember, in HTML we have our declaration telling the browser that this is an HTML file. Same here, we have our XML version. So this declaration will be at the top of all of your XML files. And then we have our opening HTML tag, closing HTML tag, and then we have other tags. And then in between the content we have, or in between the tags, there are some content that will be displayed. So revisiting HTML, so as we know, something like this will look like this in the browser. And as you continue to work on your websites, this should look pretty familiar to you. So XML is just a method for structuring data in a text file. So this XML file on the left, when we look at it in the browser, this is what it will look like. So it just structures it a little bit. If you see up here, it says this XML file does not appear to have any style information, and that's what we use XSLT sheets, which will help us to style the XML, similar to what we do with CSS and HTML. So so XML and HTML are kind of like siblings. Both are implementations of the SGML, which is the standard generalized markup language. Both have elements and attributes, but they do have different functions and they do work differently. If you want to learn more about SGML, this is a link to their site. Okay, some more things about XML and HTML. So XML is a method for structuring data in a text file. HTML is a system for telling a browser how to display web pages, as you know. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the XML tags are generated by the user, whereas HTML tags are already defined, and also the attributes are already defined in HTML. XML has very strict syntax, and HTML is less strict. So XML is case sensitive, so you have to be very careful when you're writing in your XML file that you keep the case consistent. And HTML, it's not case sensitive. However, it's good practice to normally do it all lowercase. but it will still work in the browser because it's not case sensitive. It just looks better to have all lowercase in HTML. So yeah, so XML is a method for structuring data in a text file, as I said. But what data are we structuring? And what does it actually do? It doesn't really look like it's doing anything here. This is an example of a mark record in XML. This is an example of a photograph record that's digitized in XML. Geospatial metadata, an XML file. And here's a metadata about a museum collection that's written in XML. So it is widely used, especially in the LIS environments and organizations. And that's why we're teaching it to you, or teaching you a little bit about it. So also it's in the healthcare records. Oops, no, that was. So XML doesn't really do anything by itself. It won't tell your browser to create a hyperlink or a bulleted list. It's just information that's wrapped in tags. And this is a breakfast menu, the breakfast menu example. So we're just putting tags around information. That's it. So why XML and what does it do? It structures data in a meaningful way, in a human readable way. And it also adheres to specific rules. And it is machine readable. And this makes things very easy to store data, to transport data, share data, and integrate data. And these are there are multiple applications that read and work with XML. Word docs, text, conversion, HTTP, JPEGs. So what uses XML? A bunch of things. These are just some examples. Android applications, iTunes, web servers, technical documentation, medical records. All of these things can use XML. Here's a sample for XML document. Again, this would be for a bookstore, and this would be the title and the author and the year and the price. So that's the content, the data that's being structured in this file. So there are many implementations of XML. EAD, that should look familiar to you. Extended archival descriptors. Dublin Core, that's also should be familiar to you, or will become familiar to you in this program. And then Mark CXML. So in the next lecture video, oh, I left the T off of here. Oops. Okay, in the next lecture video, we'll be looking at the XML syntax and how it's structured. So I'll see you in the next video.